Bonjour mon petit chifle, Amber here, and we still need a name for her. Anyway, at the end of last year I was toying with the idea of bringing monthly reading wrap-ups back to this channel, so here we are with my January reading wrap-up. January was a month for reading. I read a total of, oh god, 8 books in January. Who is she? I usually read like 4-ish books a month, so I feel like this set the tone for the year. Probably not, honestly. I don't know if I can keep that momentum up. I have a timer set. I'm gonna try really hard to be quick and concise as possible, talking through 8 books. Also important to note, my theme for the month, my reading theme for the month with my TBR and whatnot, was only reading sequels, continuing series, or finishing series in a lot of cases. If you watched my sequels I need to read, or is that, I don't remember what I called that book. I think I talked about all of these in that video. So yay me. First and foremost, I finished a duology. I read Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Spin the Dawn, thus finishing the Blood of the Stars duology, I believe that's what it's called. Book 1, Spin the Dawn, is a sort of loose, like, Mulan-esque retelling. It was pitched as Mulan meets Project Runway. It follows Maya, who is the only daughter in a family of all boys. Her brothers all have been lost or damaged by the war that happened in their kingdom. Maya wants to be a not a seamstress in tailor. God, I'm like, what is the word? She wants to be a tailor in a world where only women can only be seamstresses if they want to work in like clothing, fabric, whatnot. Long story short, her brother is basically conscripted to take part in this contest to be the Emperor's royal tailor, and she takes his place, poses as him, and she and her enchanted scissors go to the palace. Maya ends up being assigned to replicate or to create the wedding gown for the Emperor's fiance, and she has to recreate this goddess's 3 dresses with the something of the sun. I can never remember. The sun, the moon, the stars. Anywho, so that's book 1. I can't really go into book 2. Obviously it's a sequel, but this just continues that story. I've been putting this book off for like 2 years, and I am so glad to finally like have concluded this duology. I loved book 1 so much. I love retellings. I know I don't have to say that every single time, but I will. This story was, Maya was on such an interesting arc, and her character is struggling to maintain her humanity and also protect her kingdom and the people that she loves. And this was such a interesting like take and conclusion and ending of a story, but at the same time I like that this duology, while it does like deal with a lot of emotional things or like big moments, it's never like super heavy, you know, does that make sense? To me at least. I don't remember what I was gonna say, but I was really satisfied by this conclusion, this closing of a door, so to speak. I love Idan so much. Yeah, at this point that I'm filming this video, the first book is like already, first few books are like fading from memory, you know? So after that, I read Loaded, which is a holiday romance by Kilby Blades. This little baby was sent to me by Honey Magnolia Co., and I had intended to read it in December. I forgot about it, so I just picked it up at the beginning of January. This follows this billionaire or whatever who is bringing his girlfriend home to meet his family for the first time. I think they've been together for like 8 years, and his grandmother has summoned him home for like this big ominous reason. He intends to propose to her over Thanksgiving. I think this is Thanksgiving week, I don't know, whatever, but he's like terrified of her meeting his family because they are like this super old money, rich, not in touch with the real world type people. Also, he's bringing his black girlfriend to meet his slightly problematic white family. Yeah, I almost put this down when I initially started reading it. I didn't really like the writing too much. It was very, I don't want to say tell not show, but it was a lot of, it was too much. It was a lot. But eventually I picked it up because I wanted to know what happened. Also, you know, I just wanted to add another notch on my belt, you know, books right in the month. And I eventually got through it. It was fine. It wasn't bad. I'm kind of curious to go read the other books in this series. What does it say? This story makes Guess Who's Coming to Dinner look like a cakewalk. Anyway, moving on. I don't have much to say about this. It is what it is. It was fine. I mean, couldn't be me. It wouldn't be me. I would have left, but it's fine. So next. Talking about finishing series. I finally picked Gods and Monsters back up. Which, if you don't know, is the third and final book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. I started reading this book in October. And I was like at the cusp of a slump and couldn't really, it wasn't the right time to read it, so I put it down. Finally picked it back up, and if you don't know, Serpent and Dove, the first one, it follows Lou and Reed. Lou is a witch in hiding. Reed is a royal, basically witch hunter. Shenanigans ensue, and they are forced into a marriage of convenience. All the while, like I said, Reed does not know that Lou is a witch. She's in hiding not just from the chasseurs, but also from the coven that she ran away from when she was 16. And that's basically what this is. This is like love, enemies to lovers, like mortal enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience, yada yada yada, French inspired tale. And that was a really bad explanation, but this is book 3. I can't say a word about this except that I cannot believe that I'm finished with this series. I can't believe I don't have a new one to look forward to this fall, even though at the time that I'm filming this, Shelby Mahern has just announced that her next series, the next book coming out, is the first book in a spin-off series following Sally, because there's like little whatever. So that's really exciting. I'm gonna be back in this world eventually. All I want to really say is that, let's see how I can say this. My favorite character got the love and respect that he deserved. And I love the way he was incorporated in this book. Right. I can't really talk about this book. There's a lot that goes on. There's a lot. There was a point where I had mentioned in my reading vlog that it felt like Shelby was putting two set books into one. Like one story closed, another opened. It was like a book in 2 acts basically, because so much goes on. We have to conclude the story, that conclude the issue, I guess, that we ran into at the end of book 2, Jesus, Blood and Honey, and then a whole new fiasco ensues in this book. You know, I love this world. I love these characters. I love Lou and Reed. I love Coco. I love Bo. I love the addition of Sally. And in this book, there are so many more creatures, like folk creatures, not just like witches, not just, mild spoiler, at some point werewolves are involved. Like I said, I can't believe I don't have another book to look forward to in the fall of this series, but I look forward to whatever is next from Shelby. I want to do more Serpent and Dove-esque candles, so I actually need to sit down and work on that. I skipped a book. I knew I would, because 2 of the books that I finished this month were audiobooks. The first of which was a reread. Well, both of them were rereads actually. The first of which is Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I have been meaning to reread this book for so long because I knew I needed to reread it before going into Reaper of Souls, and I'm so glad that I did. I love that book so much. It's one of my favorite books. We are following Ara, who comes from this long line of witch doctors, but she herself has no magic of her own. And this follows her when the children in the kingdom start go missing, and she has to enact this charlatan magic. Basically, she's trading years of her life for a touch of magic to find out who is stealing these children and taking their souls, basically. I mean, then when we find that out, the story pivots, and there's a whole other storyline that I'm not going to talk about because of spoilers. That one is a West African inspired fantasy, and I love it, and I was so excited to dive back into the world. The audiobook, I enjoyed it. It was really easy to listen to. Since I already talked about Gods and Monsters, after Gods and Monsters, I finally read Reaper of Souls, which is the sequel to Kingdom of Souls. I think you can put that together. One, because Master of Souls comes out later this year, which is the final book, and I can't be behind anymore. I really can't. Like I said, this is a sequel. Can't really go into detail, but this picks up right after the events of book 1. And I think this is my most disappointing read of the month, because like I said, I loved book 1 so much. I rave about book 1 all the time, but this, I keep saying, unfortunately, I think had a case of the sequels. This book was so chaotic. There was so much happening at too much happening at one time. So much so, I said this in my vlog, that the emotion was sort of taken out of it. There was so much going on, even when a character would get hurt or whatever, it's just okay, and then something else happens right after. You can't even process. You have to go back and what did I just read? I don't understand. So much so that I think that, oh God, this book was so much that I feel when Master of Souls comes out, I'm going to have to reread this book, despite having read it only a few months prior. I was talking to my friend Brittany, and we both said that we think this would have benefited the series, at least this book, or the series going further forward past book 1, would have really benefited from being an adult fantasy series, because there is so much that it definitely could have bloomed and flourished more if it wasn't held to a lot of the constraints that you have with YA. A lot of plot points or character development, I suppose, or even the relationships between multiple characters would have worked better without YA constraints, even if it were a little bit chunkier. And even though at some points I felt okay, can we just get to the point, please? I feel if we were able to, I don't know, I don't want to talk about it anymore. After Reaper of Souls, I finished another audiobook, another second reread of the month, and it was Beautiful by Renee Attia. We know how I feel about Renee. We know I love Renee, and I loved The Beautiful so much. Actually, I started The Beautiful. That wasn't my plan, because I had actually, before I picked Gods and Monsters back up, I had started reading The Damned finally, but I realized I was 12 pages in and realized that I couldn't remember enough of book 1 to follow what was going on in book 2. So I ended up caving and resubscribing to Audible because I needed the audiobook and I couldn't find it anywhere else. So here we are. What are you doing? So I re-listened to The Beautiful. I love the audiobook. The narrator, I love her. I love her voice and the fact how committed she is to all the characters. I absolutely enjoyed my time being back in New Orleans. The Beautiful, the follows Celine, who arrives to New Orleans in like the 1800s she's fleeing Paris after an incident. She's living in this convent. Long story short, she gets like caught up in the Court of Lions, Cour de Lion, which are this group of creatures that aren't quite human. Say it out loud. Vampires. There she meets Sebastian Saint-Germain, who was like the leader, the heir, so to speak. And, you know, I've gone over my timer. I gotta speed this up. So after reading The Beautiful, I don't even think I described The Beautiful. Did I finish describing The Beautiful? Oh, there is another creature that's not part of the Court of Lions that is stalking Celine and putting her life in danger, which also is like pushing her and Sebastian closer. And yeah, that's that. Her being entangled with this group and trying not to die. So then I went back to The Damned. My hair matches today. That's cute. This picks up like a couple weeks, I think, after the end of book 1. This one is Sebastian's story. Each book in this series is like another character's story arc, and I love series like that each book follows basically a different character, sort of like the Witchlands. And what I loved about this book is that, one, it felt completely different to The Beautiful structure wise. What is happening? For one, there are multiple POV chapters within this book, whereas in book 1 I believe it was only Celine and also like the big bad of the story. It had like little interludes basically, but there are multiple POVs, but Sebastian's chapters are the only ones that are first person, and I like the way that's done. It really emphasizes that this is his book. We're following his storyline. Also, because the world of the Court of Lions is opened in book 1, we can dive deeper into the supernatural in this book. The vampires are and other creatures are much more present, and you obviously, this is Sebastian's a part of this world, so it's not hidden and we're very much immersed in it. And I also really love that in this book we are introduced to more folk creatures as well as different worlds, I guess. This book feels like a bridge almost, because after this one the story shifts basically, and this just felt like it felt like it was a tool to turn the story the way it has going into The Righteous. I'm really interested to see where the story is going from here. I need to pick up The Righteous like ASAP. I have the Fairy Loot edition, but I never intended to read that. That's my collecting. So I have to go get the Righteous because I need to know where we're going from here now that we've like pivoted and opened new doors and like shaken things up a bit. Okay. And last but not least, finished another duology, y'all. I finally read Crooked Kingdom, and I'm still not okay. This is the sequel to Six of Crows, if you somehow don't know. I read Six of Crows last August. I only know that, was it August? Yeah, I only know that because I started reading it on Ben Barnes's birthday. It was purely coincidence. I am emotionally distraught. I am unwell. I filmed a whole like spoilery vlog of me reading both books, which I think might have been one of the last videos I posted. It's going to be linked down below, so if you want to see me cry for like 7 minutes, it's down there. I love these books so much, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to get to this point. This duology is immaculate. It's elite. These characters And Edge and Nina are the most important relationship in this whole thing. Don't let anyone lie and tell you otherwise. Wylan Van Eck is my son. I would hurt someone for him. That's my baby. Jesper, I gotta go. I gotta go before I say something that I'll regret. Because I almost spoke about other things, but I'm not going to speak about other things. So eventually I'm going to obviously pick up the Nikolai duology, King of Scars and Rule of Wolves. And I'll most likely be doing a spoilery vlog for that as well. I'm fine. I can't even like talk too much about, just know I get it. Okay, so I went like way over my timer. It's fine, no big deal. I don't know who I was kidding when I said I was going to do this in 15 minutes. Yeah, those are the 8 books that I read in January. I'm very proud of myself. I overall had a really good reading month. I loved almost everything that I read. Even though Reaper of Souls wasn't what I expected it to be, it still wasn't bad. I've read worse books, and I still have faith that it can be brought around in Master of Souls, and that I can still count this series as one of my favorites. So yes, thank you for watching. If you got this far, MVP, let me know in the comments what your favorite read of January was, or if you read any of these, what you thought of them. Or you can always leave me book recommendations, books you think I might enjoy, books you think I should do like a whole dedicated reading vlog for, whatever. Thank you for watching. I don't know if I said that yet. If you like this video, please give this a thumbs up. If you like me, feel free to subscribe. All my places are down below so you can follow me and I'll follow you back, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.